So I lied. There are a few classifications of Dendrobium smaller than soft and hard cane that I guess I could cover. It's not really going to help you too much care-wise, but it is useful information, I guess. So let's do it. So this is the first one. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, but this is like the general Dendrobium phalaenopsis group. They are super easy. They are amazing orchids. So they are evergreen. That means that their leaves stay green for quite a few years, and they bloom as terminal spikes. So that means when the growth is done growing, then they will bloom. So often once the leaves start to fall, then they will bloom, or once the leaves, or once it is fully grown, then it will bloom, and then the leaves will start to fall as a new growth comes up as well. You should grow these pretty warm year-round with about 60-degree nights as a minimum. And fertilize heavily when the roots are appearing from the new growth. That is when they really want their food. They like pretty medium light. I give a few hours of direct sun, trying to avoid harsh midday sun. And once the new growth is done growing, then I do reduce water and fertilizer and let them have a little bit of a rest. And that's how they bloom the best. Generally, it's just like 3 to 4 weeks of a little bit drier and cooler nights, so like down to 55 degrees-ish. And you'll see a new growth and new blooms as well pretty soon. The next type is spatulata dendrobiums, also known as antelope dendrobiums. These are pretty large and fast-growing plants that generally bloom in the summer but can also bloom multiple times a year, just like Dendrobium phalaenopsis. These are also warm growers, and they only want to be about 60 degrees at night, but they can go all the way up to like 90 degrees during the day, so really do not worry about these in the heat. But if you do keep them cooler, then keep them drier as well. But if they're not cooling down, these don't really need a rest period, so you can just keep on watering if they're warm. So the next group is just called Dendrobium, but these would be what we typically call soft cane Dendrobium. One of mine is just starting to open its flowers, and they're so pretty, but there are actually 2 groups in this, so let's talk about them. So group 1 has their growth period in the summer. They want lots of water and lots of fertilizer, and nice warm temperatures as well. From when the roots appear to when the top leaf grows on the cane. And then they're going to want a lot of light with just a little bit of water and just no fertilizer. And this is generally in the fall when the temperatures start getting down to 50 degrees, 40 degrees even. These are very tough. You can let them be cold for quite a while in the fall. They want to be down to 45 is what I generally aim for. And then group 2 dendrobiums are very similar. They just need slightly warmer winters at about 55 degrees and no water. You still with me? Okay, well, we have next Callista, which is a very fun group of Dendrobium, and one of mine is actually getting ready to bloom. So the coolest thing about these is they have pendulant blooms. The flower spikes hang down. So all of these things hanging down are all flower spikes, and they're going to be very cool to watch as they grow and bloom. It's going to be so cool. I can't wait to see them and share them with you. These are very easy. In the summer, they want warm weather, 60 to like 90 degrees-ish. Bright light, I give generally like a few hours of morning or evening sun. Try to stay away from the harsh midday sun again. And pretty easy water and fertilizer. You don't have to be too worried about it. And in the winter, they just want enough so the pseudobulbs don't shrivel, and the nights can get down to like 50 degrees. They're super easy, super fun, and they have these amazing blooms. You should definitely try them out if you haven't. The next group is Latoria, and this is one of my old ones. I gave this one to a friend of mine. So now these flowers are generally pretty yellow and greeny like this, but these are really known for having large leathery leaves at the very top of their pseudobulb, so it gives like this kind of cool tree effect. I really like them. They look so cool. Now these are very similar to like Antelope Dendrobium care-wise, but they do have like a little bit of a winter rest, like ish, so a little cooler and drier wouldn't hurt, but not really necessary overall. Super easy. Alright, and this is our last group. I'm not going to pronounce this one either. But these are known for having very little black hairs on their leaf sheaths and pseudobulbs, so it's kind of cool. The flowers are usually white and pretty large, 2 to 3 inches across. And these normally have 2 to 3 flowers together right at the end of the pseudobulb, and they're very long lasting, so it's always nice to have. So now these are pretty cool growing orchids. They want about 50-degree minimum at night and maximum 85, I'd say. I'd try to keep it way under that. I'd try to keep it under 80, honestly. And very similar to the other, water it when it is growing. When it stops growing, keep it pretty dry. And then you can water it just a little bit, keeping it just a little moist until the new growth starts again, and then you can keep on watering. So those are like the main group of Dendrobiums, but then we have like some other ones that don't really fit in any of those, like these pencil Dendrobiums that don't really look like any other ones, but they have very pretty flowers. I have 2 of them. And there's a few little oddballs like that, so that's why I always say research your particular species, but generally Dendrobiums are pretty similar overall. Generally keeping them about 50 to 60 degrees as their minimum at night and pretty dry in the winter as the growth stops, but watering more as the growth continues. It's going to generally keep a Dendrobium happy. Just watch them as they grow and they will tell you everything you need to know.